there, it's Mrs. Knoll here to talk to you about E's at the end of words. We already talked about magic E's, and then we talked about E's that soften C's and G's at the end of a word like race or page when we talked about gentle Cindy. So I wanted to give you a quick mini lesson today on the 5 reasons why you might find an E at the end of a word. A lot of people think English is just completely random and you have words and letters just stuck in places for no reason, but there are many reasons that we are just not all aware of. So let me go ahead and show you the 5 reasons for an E at the end of a word. The most common, and one we've already done, is the magic E. This would be in a simple word like maze. My E is jumping over how many consonants? 1 consonant, and it's making a vowel say its name. The second one, again, we just did this one recently too. It's the gentle Cindy factor. It can soften a C or a G. Sometimes that happens near the beginning of a word, but when we're talking about E's at the end of a word, we're talking about E's that are softening a letter right before it. And look, this is that double duty E, isn't it? One syllable type we haven't talked about yet is the consonant LE. This is a very common final stable syllable, and we've got a consonant followed by an L, followed by an E. That syllable stands alone, can be chunked off, lit, toll. Consonant LE syllables, more on that later, but they kind of create a schwa sound, and it almost sounds like there's no vowel in there. It's almost like the T plus the L, toll. But we need to have a vowel to have a syllable. So consonant LE is the way that syllable is spelled. More on that later. The last 2 reasons for why we would have an E at the end of a word. One would be because English words aren't allowed to end in the letters U or V. So in a word like give, the only reason for this E to be here is because you can't end in V. And finally, it's sometimes the hardest one to understand, is sometimes an E has been added to the end of a word so it doesn't look plural. This would be a word like purse. If I didn't have that E there, it almost would look like a plural form, right? Of purrs. So I have to put that E there so it's very clear what I'm talking about and that I'm not talking about, that this is a noun and I'm not talking about a plural of a different word. Let's go ahead and let's sort some cards. Okay, so we have our 5 reasons why words might end in E. Let's review those again. We've got a magic E at the end of a word. We have an E that is softening a C or a G. We have a consonant LE. We've got an E that's placed at the end simply because words are not allowed in English to end in the letter U or V. And we have E's that are there just to make sure words don't look plural. So let's go through and let's sort some words into these categories. We have an E that can reach a vowel. The vowel says its name. Maze, this would be a magic E word. In this word, hedge, can my E reach a vowel? No, it cannot. It's only there to soften the G before it. In a word like puzzle, we have that consonant LE syllable type. More on that later, but for now, you just need to know that this is another reason for the E at the end of a word. So words like give are tricky. They look like a magic E, but they're not. So we learn these as red words. This would actually be pronounced give. Oh, and look at that. It's also breaking the rule of gentle Cindy, because shouldn't this G say J with an I after it? It should. This is a rule breaker word. My E is only here because my words cannot end in the letter V. So that gets sorted down there. And finally, in words like horse, I really don't need that E there. It doesn't change my sound whatsoever, but I have to make sure this doesn't look like a plural form. So I just add my E so it's clear that this S is not a suffix. Okay, let's go ahead and let's sort some words. How about this word? This is that consonant LE pattern. I start with my E and I count back 1, 2, 3, cradle, cradle. How about in the word mouse? Why do I have an E? Well, without my E, it looks like a plural. Festive. Is it a magic E? No, it's only there because my word can't end in a V. Oh, this is a red word, but what is my E doing here? It's softening the C. It goes here. Oh, that's easy peasy. Magic E. Consonant LE. Magic E. It might look plural. Ooh, hold up now. Is this a magic E, or is the E only here because my word can't end in V? Well, let's check the vowel to find out. Can my E reach a vowel, and is the vowel saying its name? It is. Therefore, this is acting as a magic E. Last word for our sort. Ooh, this is what I call a double duty E. Look, it's not only making the vowel say its name, it's also softening the G before it. Rage. So for this one, it would really be your choice. Do I sort it by magic E, or do I sort it for softening? I'm going to put it right in the middle. So why the fuss over all these E's at the end of words? Well, the reason why I wanted to review that is because I wanted to introduce you to the most basic of the 3 rules for adding suffixes to base words. Now, what is a suffix? A suffix is an ending that I add to a word. It can do one of 2 things. Number 1, it can change the meaning of the base word, or number 2, it may just change its part of speech. It may cause it to agree, as in the case with a verb ending. I sit, but she sits. That S I'm adding at the end of sits makes it agree with the subject. So suffixes can sometimes change the meaning, sometimes just adjust words slightly. Now prefixes, when we talk about those, prefixes change meaning all the time, but suffixes only some of the time. So an ending I can add to a word that I can remove, and I still have a base word remaining that can stand alone. That's a suffix. I have a few suffixes on cards here today. Started with some that are very easy, and then I've gotten a little bit trickier. We have ing, definitely the one most people learn first after suffix s, of course. We have ed. Ed is tricky because it can make 3 different sounds. We talk a lot about ed. Then I've added the suffix full, which means full of. If it's a beautiful day out, it is full of beauty. Then we have, this can be a word, but it can also be a suffix. The word would be able. The suffix would be pronounced able. Now, the nice thing is it means able to. Easy to remember what this one means. But if I wanted to have a playable game, it's able to be played. Easy peasy to remember the meaning of that one. You'll see that I have a couple of different colors. I have highlighted the consonants at the beginning of my suffixes in green and the vowels at the beginning in red. That's because today when we talk about the drop E suffixing rule, we're going to have to pay attention to what's at the beginning of our suffix. So we had all of these words that end in E, and I have added to the end of them, you'll see, an arrow and an eyeball on my E. That is because for the purpose of today, we are focusing on this E at the end of my base word. We have a rhyme. We say when E sees a vowel, E runs away. When E sees a consonant, E gets to stay. The best way for me to show you this is on the blending board. So let's take it to the board. Okay, so you'll see I've taken my word give. Just for the purpose of this first one, I'm putting my giant E over that final E. My E is going to look ahead. If I'm going to add a suffix like ing, my E is looking ahead to the first letter in my suffix. If E sees a vowel, then the E runs away. The E is still there. It's just hiding. My word giving would be spelled like this. My E has run away. Now when I go and I try to attack this word for reading purposes and I remove my suffix, I always have to be aware that vowels are substitutes for a magic or final E. This isn't being a magic E here, is it? It's just a final E because my word can't end in E, in V. Okay,
let's go ahead and try it with a couple of different suffixes. How about, now these words I'm going to make are not all real words. Some are nonsense. Just work with me for wordplay. Giveable. That's a very giveable gift you have there. If E sees a vowel, then the E runs away. If giveable was a word, this is how it would be spelled. Now this is also a nonsense word, but work with me. If I wanted to add the suffix full, giveful, not a real word, but let's play with it. If E sees a vowel, then the E runs away. But if E sees a consonant, the E gets to stay. This would be the way you would spell giveful were it a real word. All right, let's try another one. Hope. Hope. How about hopeful? If E sees a vowel, E runs away. E sees a consonant. This E gets to stay. How about hoped? If E sees a vowel, E runs away. That would be how I would spell the word hoped. How about hopeable? E sees a vowel, E runs away. Love it. Okay, let's try a different base word. Ooh, horse. Okay. How about they were just horsing around? E sees a vowel, E runs away. Not a real word. If E sees a vowel, E runs away. If E sees a consonant, the E would get to stay in this nonsense word. Okay, let's try another. Puzzle. That is a puzzling problem. If E sees a vowel, E runs away. What if E saw a consonant? Now, again, not a real word, but if E saw a consonant, the E would get to stay. Okay, my last word, and there's a challenge involved with this word. That's why I saved it till last. In the word hedge, what job is my E doing? Do you remember? We categorized these. It's softening C's or G's. What three vowels can soften C's and G's? Think about Gentle Cindy's face. We have E for her eyeballs, an I for her nose, and a Y for her mouth. So let me just take a jump into this and we'll figure it out what I'm trying to lead you to. If I hedge a bet and then I'm making it past tense, I hedged, E saw a vowel, so E would run away. Oh, can this letter still soften the G? Because the job of this E was softening. Oh, sure, of course an E can still soften a G. It's fine. Okay, how about I'm hedging a bet? If E sees a vowel, E runs away. Can an I still soften my G? Yes, it can. I'm fine. Get rid of that E. How about if I'm talking about a hedgeable bet? Ooh, okay. If E sees a vowel, E runs away. Uh-oh, what's the problem here? What do I need after this G? An E, an I, or a Y? Do I have one here? I do not. This is the one time when I don't need to follow the rule about dropping my E. If I need an E to soften a C or a G before it, and the vowel in the suffix is not included on Gentle Cindy's face, this E has to stay. Otherwise, how would this word be pronounced? Head-gable. Head-gable, not the word I'm looking for. I need to keep my E hedgeable. Hedgeable. Again, not a real word, but for wordplay purposes, this works.
So I covered a lot today. We reviewed the reasons for E at the end of words, and we talked about the drop E suffixing rule. We even talked about the one big exception to the drop E suffixing rule. It's all about looking at the end of my word before I add a suffix. If I see an E there, I need to realize that that E might need special treatment. If I want to add a prefix at the beginning of a word, just pop it on. If I want to add a suffix at the end of a word, Caution is needed. I need to make sure the end of my base word doesn't need special treatment. Today you know the special treatment you might have to give an E at the end of a base word. We'll talk about the other two suffix rules in future videos, but for now, thanks for joining me for some wordplay with Mrs. Knoll.